प्रदीप राय जी, राजश्री जी, मधुश्री जी, विनय राय जी और यहाँ उपस्थित आवर यंग फ्रेंड्स, आप ओपिनियन मेकर्स भी हो, आप सेलिब्रिटीज भी हो, you are artists, you are pioneers, you are experts, innovators, creators, but most important, I think you are change makers. So मैं आप सबको बधाई देना चाहता हूँ। पिछले 50 वर्ष से I've done many things, but there's one thing that I've been consistent on. I am a student of change. जब मैं यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ता था, and I was a student of history, and you look at different epochs in our history, let me take one illustrative example. Let's take the Mughal period of our history. Where did we get our understanding from? We got our understanding from the basic fact that whoever was the ruler, and this does not apply to the Mughal period only, it implies to all kingdoms, whoever was the ruler or the person who could control a narrative, they employed chroniclers. So most of our understanding of the history of that period, of any period, comes from what the chroniclers wrote. And what did the chroniclers write? Because they were in the pay, they were employees of the state system, they wrote what the state system wanted people to know. So they were, in a sense, it was a narrative which was predetermined by that. Then I want to fast forward. And I fast forward to an era where the printing press came as part of the Industrial Revolution in England. The printing press resulted in the written word, the newspaper. The newspaper served many purposes, especially in a democracy like ours. It prints news. The newspaper has a news department. The news department has a lot of stringers, it has people gathering news, but typically the time it takes from an occurrence where, let's say, an incident takes place in any part of the world, and by the time it gets into the paper, typically something like 12 or 18 hours minimum have passed. And then something very special happens. I'm a student of history, and I'll give you an example. A very famous person who is an historiographer, E.H. Carr, who was not a historian, he was actually a part of the British, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. He was an intelligence operative, if I remember correctly. He says, what is a fact? आजकल हम लोग जब आपस में चर्चा करते हैं, तो जितने लोग मेरे मित्र लोग बैठे हुए हैं, वो एक ही फैक्ट को लेके, लेट्स से इस रो में 3, 5, 8 लोग हमारे मित्र बैठे हुए हैं, वो एक अकरेंस को 8 अलग अलग तरीके से उसको डिपिक्ट कर पाएंगे. Let me give you an example which Carr gave. He said, the Caesar, the Roman emperor, crossed the Rubicon, the river, on such and such date. That's a fact. That's empirically verifiable. But that fact does not reveal 1 or 2 or 3 or many facets, which is what? Was Caesar the first to cross the Rubicon? How many people? Was it 10 people who crossed the Rubicon before him, or 100 people, or 1,000 people? And how many crossed the Rubicon after him? Then I want to fast forward, और मैं ये जो आपसे मैं interaction कर रहा हूँ, मैं political lens से नहीं कर रहा हूँ. जब मैं न्यूयॉर्क में रहता था, संयुक्त राष्ट्र में मैं, I was the स्थायी प्रतिनिधि or permanent representative, the Trump era was beginning. I've even got a book on that. I was one of the few people who predicted a Trump victory at that time. And that book is called Delusional Politics. माफ करिए, मैं उस अपनी किताब को प्रमोट नहीं कर रहा हूं. मैं सिर्फ आपको जो आप काम करते हैं उसके बारे में कुछ बताना चाह रहा हूं. The Trump era produced what is called the alt facts. अब मैं क्यों आपको इतनी लंबी long-winded explanation दे रहा हूं? क्योंकि जो written word है, जो print media है, मैं राजेश जी से कह रहा था अभी कि जब प्रदीप राय जी बात कर रहे थे कि you have taken over or you are more influential than the print media, मैंने ताली नहीं मारी because I don't want the word to get around कि मैं print media के खिलाफ हूं, because I need them also along with my young friends who are in the social media influencers. क्या होता है फिर? Then editorial comment comes in. और एडिटोरियल कमेंट क्या होता है? मान लीजिए आप ये मान के चलिए कि आपके पास दुनिया में सबसे बढ़िया न्यूज गैदरिंग टीम है और वो टीम जो है आपके सामने फैक्ट्स को एकदम अनबायस तरीके से रखती है, पर एडिटोरियल तो एक और भी काम करता है. वो अपनी ओपिनियन एडिटर साहब की या जो एडिटोरियल टीम होती है या एडिटोरियल बोर्ड होता है उसकी ओपिनियन देता है. और फिर माफ कीजिएगा, किसी ने कहा कि इसमें तो राजनीति आ गई, तो मैंने उसका जवाब दिया, मैंने कहा राजनीतिक तो हर एक चीज में आएगी. द मेयर चॉइस ऑफ योर वर्ड्स, द वर्ड्स यू एम्प्लॉय will indicate what your bias is. It may not be a political bias, but it will be a human bias. And where 5 people are interacting, that human bias becomes a political bias. Because that's how political formations take place. और मैं एक चीज तो बतानी भूल ही गया, अखबार जो है ना, it's not an altruistic or a philanthropic venture. Somebody has to own a newspaper. It can be a cooperative also. Somebody has to finance a newspaper. So you come to another layer. That layer is the owner's influence. Now, in a good democracy, we are able to reconcile all these things. Why am I saying all this? The change you all have brought about is that news is no longer subject to a 12-hour or 18-hour gap. What you are able to do is to take advantage of the fact that by 2025, we will have कितने 900 million हमारे internet users होंगे. और अब now, एक मैंने expression use किया था parliament में जब COVID पे चर्चा हो रही थी. He said the problem is, and this is where policymakers have to be careful, truth will take its time to travel, whilst the lie, the truth is tying its shoelaces, I think that's the expression, whilst a lie would already have traveled halfway around the world. And therefore, the instant news, but the instant news is not the only thing. I don't mind if a good occurrence takes place somewhere, you have a landing on the moon, etc. The whole world will see it in any case. But some events are very significant. People might tend to either minimize their importance, or they may tend that doesn't serve their purpose to play it up. But the change that is taking place, all that is being replaced by an entirely new group of people. So let me start by saying I entirely agree with Pradeep Rayaji that don't underestimate your influence. You have an influence. You have an influence to inform. You have an influence to mold opinion. You have an influence to create narratives and alternative narratives where takes place. But most important of all, because of the demographic and age advantage that you enjoy, you guys, sorry I'm to use that some term, but we use it all the time in the West and I spent a lot of time there. You guys will mold the real Amrit Kal. Not only because you have an age advantage, but you have an understanding advantage. जितनी भी किसी अखबार की, किसी चैनल की रीच हो, मैं माफी चाहूंगा, मैं अगेन चैनल्स किसी को नहीं कर रहा हूं, but an interactive process, this is what I was telling Rajeshri ji, an interactive process between the channels and these group will also enhance the channels and will also give a sense of belonging, a sense of participation, and a sense of contribution to the many celebrities that we have here. Now I want to, I'm sorry it's a somewhat long-winded introduction, but मैं आपको अपनी दो मंत्रालयों के बारे कुछ बताना चाहूंगा. कभी-कभी जब मैं सुबह उठता हूं, and आजकल तो ट्रोल्स कम है, आई थिंक वो हॉलिडे सीजन पे हैं ट्रोल्स, या पता नहीं कहीं उनको लगा कि ये ऐसे लोग हैं जो इनको ट्रोल करो गलती से तो जवाब भी दे देते हैं और फिर एम्बैरेस भी कर देते हैं. देखिए, अर्बन सेक्टर के बारे आपने कहा, प्रदीप जी, आपने कहा that I've been the longest serving housing or urban affairs minister, and I don't know whether that was a compliment or it was intended. No, but I have a different way of looking at it. If you look at the good things that are happening in the urban space, and I've been a party or I've been associated with those positive changes, then I think it's a compliment. But you know, the urban space is something which the challenges are so many. और मैं आपको एक दो छोटे से उदाहरण देता हूं. जब when we became an independent country 1947 की बात कर रहा हूं, हमारी जनसंख्या उस समय कितनी थी? 35 करोड़ थी. और इस 35 करोड़ जनसंख्या में हमारी जो अर्बन पॉपुलेशन है 17% थी. हमारा लैंड एरिया तो चेंज नहीं हुआ. अब हमारी जनसंख्या एक 35 करोड़ से चलते 140 करोड़ पहुंच गई है, और हमारी जो अर्बन पॉपुलेशन है वो 30 और 40% के बीच में होंगी. सो वी आर लुकिंग एट 2040 में व्हाट 600 मिलियन पीपल, 60 करोड़ पीपल लिविंग इन अर्बन एरियाज. मैं दिल्ली के बारे में बताता हूं. जब मेरी प्रीवियस जनरेशन रेफ्यूजीज बन के आए और 7-8 लाख दिल्ली की जनसंख्या बढ़ी, तो दिल्ली की 1950 या 51-52 का जो सेंसस था, उसमें दिल्ली की जनसंख्या इज रिकॉर्डेड एज व्हाट 22 लाख. तो नील जी, अगर अभी हम दिल्ली की जनसंख्या कितनी होगी? 3 करोड़. उसी लैंड एरिया में अगर 22 लाख से पॉपुलेशन गोज अप टू 3 करोड़, then you have all your challenges put together. But what we have done, rather what the Honorable Prime Minister has done, I think that is important. जो 10 साल 2004 और 14 के बीच में जो यहाँ पे दिल्ली में यूपीए और कांग्रेस की सरकार थी, उस समय टोटल स्पेंड ऑन दी अर्बन स्पेस, इसका क्या मतलब है? जो भी उनकी योजनाएं थी केंद्रीय सरकार की, मैं राज्य सरकारों की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं, केंद्रीय सरकार की जो भी योजनाएं थी उनको सब मिला लीजिए तो 10 वर्ष में टोटल एक्सपेंडिचर वाज 1,78,000 करोड़, 1,78,000 करोड़. और मोदी जी ने जब दायित्व संभाला 2014 में, he also inherited challenges, but most of all he inherited a negative mindset. Negative mindset ये कि urban space, people are not happy dealing with it. They thought India's future lay in the rural space, in rural development. May or may not be correct. As a result of this, the West described India as a reluctant urbanizer. But जब मोदी जी आए, उन्होंने इस चैलेंज में एक अपॉर्चुनिटी देखी, एंड द अर्बन स्पेंड इन द 9 years between 2014 and 23 has gone up to 18,07,000 crores, which means कहाँ 1.78 lakh crores to 18.07 lakh crores. You just see the increase. I can give you the statistics in all the other schemes put together. प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना, जो उनकी योजना थी कांग्रेस सरकार की, उसमें जितने आवास बने, you can count them literally on your fingertips. We took that in the urban space to 1 crore 19 lakh homes. अगर उसमें ग्रामीण क्षेत्र आप ज्वाइन करते हैं तो 3 करोड़ आ गए हैं. ये जो फिगर है हमारा 1 crore 19 lakhs homes, this is 9 times higher than what has been done under the previous schemes, all put together. मैं 10 साल के नहीं, सारे उनके years together है. 2014 में जब मोदी जी की सरकार आई, the waste that we produce, by waste I mean the kachra, only 15% of that waste was processed. What happened to the remaining 85%? The evidence is there for all of you to see. You've got these huge legacy dump sites with no attention being paid how to deal with them. Today, from that 15% waste processing, we have gone to nearly 80% waste being processed. Now, I say to you, probably the amount of waste we produce has also gone up. Therefore, the figure of 78 or 80% is even more impressive. जब the स्वच्छता आंदोलन started, मैं आपको याद करवाना चाहूंगा, apart from the fact when the Honorable Prime Minister was Chief Minister of Gujarat, and thereby hangs a little story, and I rewind back to 1916. Mahatma Gandhi, much before national independence is the main priority attention. Mahatma Gandhi, he was then not yet Mahatma Gandhi, he was, a very influential person with the kind of influence that you have, but of a very social kind. He was giving a lecture at the Banaras Hindu University, I think Banaras Hindu College, और उन्होंने कहा, last evening I went around. He was looking for God, but more important, he was looking for cleanliness. और उन्होंने ये कहा कि I couldn't find it, which was a severe indictment to what we were doing. The only other political leader who took that challenge up after Mahatma Gandhi was Prime Minister. Before he became Prime Minister, as Chief Minister of Gujarat, he implemented a cleanliness scheme like that. इसलिए जब उन्होंने दायित्व दिल्ली में संभाला, 15 अगस्त 2014 में उन्होंने कहा कि by the time we celebrate the 150th birth anniversary of the Mahatma, that is on 2nd October 2019, India should be open defecation free. The good news is that we were able to do it with the exception of one state, उन्होंने भी बाद में कर लिया. But the achievement comes not from the fact that जो हमने हमारा शौचालय बनाने का टारगेट था, individual household toilets या community और public toilets बनाने का टारगेट था, that was completed. No. I am very clear that the good news comes from the fact that a scheme of the government, a scheme devised by the Honorable Prime Minister, became a Jan Andolan and became a project of the people. So today on Swachhata, you don't have to make out a case. I'm not only saying this about Indore, which in this Swachhata Sarvekshan जो प्रथम स्थान जब उनको मिलता है हर वर्ष, and there's healthy competition also, but they are so good. I think people have realized that if you carry out cleanliness, sanitation, you also improve your own well-being, land value goes up, and there have been all kinds of estimates which say that so many, this is a World Health Organization, not my estimate. They say कि स्वच्छता के कारण, the स्वच्छता आंदोलन के कारण, SBM 1 के कारण, SBM 2 के कारण, हमारी जो हेल्थ सेक्टर में सेविंग्स हुई है, those are empirically verified. Today we are moving from garbage-free cities, we are moving to solid waste processing at a level which will compare with the best countries in the world. And if you look at the social impact, जब आप एक शौचालय बनाते हैं, who is the beneficiary? And I just want to fast forward. The beneficiary of a shauchalaya is the girl child to start with. You provide dignity to the girl child. And then you take it forward. You go to SDG, Sustainable Development Goal 5, Women's Empowerment. सारी जो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की योजनाएं हैं, all of them have women-centric development at its core. And I'm saying this because I see a very large number of female influencers. जो प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना में जो मलिकाना हक है, that is to go in the name of the lady of the house or co-jointly. मैं क्योंकि समय कम है, I want to go to उज्ज्वला स्कीम, मेरे दूसरे मंत्रालय में, पेट्रोलियम एंड नेचुरल गैस. पहले क्या होता था, मैं दावे से कह सकता हूं कि हमारे जो मेल फ्रेंड्स यहां बैठे हैं, आप में से बहुत कम रसोई में जाते होंगे. ना पहले आप जाते थे, ना अब जाते हो, ना आने वाले समय में. कुछ में हमें those who are foodies, those who like to also help out, थोड़ी सी आप contribution करते होंगे. पहले क्या था? You had to go out, collect firewood, then you used coal, then you used kerosene, and you can take the adverse toxicity impact of all those. उज्ज्वला योजना आने से, and I'm making a broader point, 2014 में number of gas connections, LPG connections in the country 14 करोड़ थे करीब. आज वो 14 करोड़ 2014 में थे, आज 33 करोड़ है. और gas connection तो ठीक है, all of you will do well if you have 5 million followers, which I think most of you have. You will probably have more. Then you also economically well off. But there are people who are below the poverty line or economically weaker sections. तो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने 2016 में एक योजना शुरू की, उज्ज्वला योजना, जिसमें आपको फ्री कुकिंग स्टव और गैस सिलेंडर मिला. और 2016 में जो योजना शुरू की थी, 8 करोड़ cylinders and connections were given by till 2019, और आज that figure stands at 9 crore 60 lakhs. मुझसे पूछा जाता है, ये 10 पे क्यों नहीं आप राउंड ऑफ करते? भाई अगर जरूरत होगी तो मैं मानता हूं कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी 10 पे क्यों, जो भी जरूरत होगी वो करेंगे. और महामारी के दौरान when economic activity had come to a grinding halt, 3 सिलेंडर मुफ्त दिए गए. और ये जो लोग रेवड़ी की बात करते हैं, और जिसमें आई सीक योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग, देखिए अगर कोई किसी चीज को भी आप फ्री देंगे तो अभी मेरा एक स्टेट है, मैं बताऊंगा, नाम नहीं लूंगा, पर अगर इफ यू लुक एट व्हाट आई लुक लाइक, वेयर आई शुड कम फ्रॉम, वहां पे 82% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन डजंट पे एनी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल. गुड, इफ यू आर अ रिच मैन, प्लीज डिस्ट्रीब्यूट योर वेल्थ, और आप लोगों का इन्फ्लुएंस लेके अच्छी तरह डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करवाओ. बट द पॉइंट इज समबडी हैज टू पे द बिल इन द एंड. तो कर्जा जो है 3 करोड़ 80 लाख होता था, आज वो बढ़ता पड़ता 7 lakh crore. Where is it going to come from? But in Modi ji's case, even during the pandemic, the government was supplying 3 meals of dry ration a day to 80 crore people. That is what is development. And 3 gas cylinders free, और आज भी direct benefit to the लाभार्थी. आपके अकाउंट में अगर आपका सिलेंडर है, आप सिलेंडर ड्रॉ करते हैं, 200 रुपए सिलेंडर का दाम आपके अकाउंट में डायरेक्टली चला जाएगा. आई थिंक आई नीड टू wind up. I'll do 2 things. One is, if you look at our metro network, it's not just economically weaker section below poverty line. Why is it necessary to have a good urban transport system for the simple reason your policy or a good policy is moving people around, not moving cars around. Delhi to abhi bhi bachi hui hai thodi si, because you can still get from one point to another, but दुनिया में कई ऐसे शहर हैं जहां पे small distances को cover करने के लिए आधे घंटे से अधिक लगता है. आज दिल्ली metro is one of the finest metros in the world, but I'll come to that in a minute. इसकी शुरुआत 2002 में हुई जब वाजपेयी जी प्रधानमंत्री थे. आज देश में 870 किलोमीटर करीब ऑपरेशनल मेट्रो है और आने वाले कुछ ही महीनों में, एक साल में करीब 1040 किलोमीटर और ऐड होगी. एंड इंडिया विल हैव द वर्ल्ड सेकंड लार्जेस्ट मेट्रो सिस्टम, ahead of Japan, ahead of Korea, ahead of the United States. Today, on a good day, Delhi Metro carries 65 lakh people in a day. मैं आपसे ये पूछना हूं, अगर ये मेट्रो नहीं होती, वो जो 65 लाख है, how would they get around? One, very simple. Many of them would take to using their personal vehicles. Abhi bhi, I don't think we've reached where we are. Once we produce that last mile connectivity, I would like a situation where my friends and I use, and I do, sometimes I take the metro from my, where I live to the airport. It's much quicker. On a good day, a metro ride between where I take it from to airport would be what, 13-14 minutes, 15 minutes maximum. And you were assured, you know the train will come. अब इसमें again, I am taking a pot shot at those who promise freebie politics. मैं नया नया मंत्री बना था और मेट्रो का यहाँ पे दाम जो भाड़ा जो है फेयर्स 8 साल से बढ़े नहीं थे. तो जब पहला इंस्टॉलमेंट तो हो गया था मई 2017 में, जब मैं नया नया मंत्री बना था तो मुख्यमंत्री जी ने मुझसे कहा कि इसको रहने दीजिए, मत बढ़ाइए. तो मैंने कहा अंकल इसका कैपिटल लोन कौन देगा वापस? तो उन्होंने थोड़ा हल्ला मचाया और उसके बाद लाइन में आ गए. बिकॉज अगर आपने दिल्ली मेट्रो बनाई है 27,000 करोड़ का लोन लेने के बाद, अगर लोन लौटाएंगे नहीं तो जो बाकी मेट्रो लाइंस के लिए एक्सटर्नल फंडिंग हो रही है वो कहां से आएगी? सो आई थिंक दिस अनदर ग्रेट स्टोरी. एंड आई नाउ वांट टू कंक्लूड माय फाइनल पॉइंट. पीरियोडिकली यहां हल्ला मचता है, पेट्रोल प्राइस बड़े हाई हैं, डीजल प्राइस बड़े हाई हैं. भाई स्टार्ट विद द अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि यहाँ पे पेट्रोल प्राइसेस एंड डीजल प्राइसेस आर लोएस्ट amongst any of the countries in our neighborhood, and the percentage of increase in comparison with other countries, US, Japan, Korea, is also the lowest. Why? Because you have a prime minister जिन्होंने जब कच्चे तेल का दाम $19.56 से बढ़कर 128 पहुंच गया और लगा कि यहां पे दाम बढ़ेंगे क्योंकि आपके जो कंजम्पशन है, यू आर डिपेंडेंट 80% ऑन इंपोर्ट्स. तो उन्होंने क्या किया? ऑन 2 occasions, नवंबर 2021 एंड मई 2022, उन्होंने सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट जो एक्साइज चार्ज करती है उसको कम कर दिया और पेट्रोल और डीजल के दाम 16 रुपए और 13 रुपए, आई डोंट नो विच वे अराउंड, कम हो गए. Today, therefore, we can say with confidence, we have managed to address all 3 challenges: availability, affordability, and sustainability. But sustainability, I think we will need a new session because sustainability is the most important. How we move to biofuels, how we are moving to green hydrogen. Again, that is your generation's fuel. My generation's fuels are on the way out, as my generation is also on its way out. It's a fact. You will inherit, I mean, I was talking to Pradeep Rai ji, aap mein se kuch log hain, you are 20 years old, or less or slightly more. You will inherit this world, and you will also shape it. So thank you very much for giving me a patient hearing, and I apologize, I took a little longer than I had expected to. Thank you very much.